We're good to go.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Welcome back to the TOB.Podcast.
We were really quick.
My name is Summer.
I'm Anne-Marie.
I'm Queen. Are we really giving that in?
That's the intro?
I mean, choices were made.
I actually did not choose to do that. My brain did.
And we are
Trying
our
our
best.
Don't you?
Worry now.
Don't you worry now. Just hold your head high. Don't you worry now. Just hold your head high. Don't turn around. The prize is not behind you.
Beautiful. So, before we jump into it, I need you guys to just make direct eye contact with me, okay? Every Tuesday, we say, subscribe. There's a cute little button over there. YouTube did their big one. Just subscribe, right? And this week I was thinking about it, and we are on our way to 100, right? We've been sitting in the 70s for the last couple weeks, and I just want to present all of you with the opportunity, right? To be the real ones, the day ones, the grassroots ones that you can stand up and say, I was one of the first 100 subscribers to the TOB.Podcast. I believed in them from the jump. I just want to give you that opportunity right now, okay? So let's give them 5 seconds to think about it.
And I will know who you are. You try to wiggle your way in. After the Lord has elevated us by God's grace. If he wants to, I will know.
Yeah, we love all the support that we've got so far, but I'm just seeing a little bit of a lull out there. So I thought maybe you didn't understand what you could really be a part of, so I just wanted to bring it to the front before we really got started, okay? Like, share, comment, all of those good things. But please, please, please subscribe.
But also shout out to all 70 of you. Really appreciate you
Facts.
for being here.
The real ones, the grassier grassroots,
The one or a day ones.
Exactly. Okay, well, with that out of the way, ladies,
We.
there's been a couple, I guess, like reels and TikToks floating around with a bunch of different scary versions of relationships, if that's the right adjective.
Terrifying.
Dating is the most terrifying thing to do.
I'm not gonna lie, as a newly wedded woman, y'all are giving marriage really bad PR. Like, I feel like I'm on the losing team, and I just don't like that for us.
You want to be the crisis consultant?
No.
No.
Not the press secretary.
Okay, well, I wanted to kind of give the audience a better look at like our ideas of relationships, I think. So I have a couple like would you rathers that are just kind of relationship centered, I guess. And then I have a question that hopefully we can get a little bit deeper.
The real
okay?
ones know our very first would you rather was very chaotic.
Oh, was it the one
Strap
where
on
I
your
would rather?
seatbelt.
Oh, I'll never
My
forget
sister
that one.
in Christ.
It's burnt. Listen, it's burnt in my head where she was like, "Would you rather it every single time you were in a romance today, like say the name of your?"
Nobody needs to remember that.
I try and clean it up though. Like I come here and I'm like, oh, like this is the great one, and then by the end of it, both of you are like, why? Like why have we done this? I thought we were just having a fun conversation.
Oh, we are on camera.
Just a beautiful
That is
Tuesday
the problem.
It's fun for
morning.
you. It's just fun for you.
I answered the questions too, though, so it's not that I'm just. You guys are not just victims.
Your father
out here.
is not the bishop, so there's that.
Okay, well, my first would you rather. Okay. So speaking of pastors, no, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Okay, so in this scenario, your best friend is not Christian, okay?
Okay.
So childhood friends, you accepted Jesus, they didn't. They've known you, but they are not Christian and they have not accepted Jesus. They have no interest in doing so, okay? So would you rather go on a blind date arranged by your pastor or by your non-Christian best friend?
Non-Christian best friend.
Facts. Absolutely. So I don't. And if you even ask me why,
That's my
the thing,
answer,
though,
and
'cause
I'm
like,
stick
I feel
beside
like
it.
there's something there.
I'm
Here's the
a
thing, here's the
stick
thing.
beside it.
is regardless at the end of both dates, everyone has the beautiful gift of free will to say yes or no to the proposed person. However, the level of pain I would go through.
Okay, in the scenario, the same way that your best friend is not Christian, the pastor is not your dad. The pastor is not your father-in-law. Okay, so just your
Regardless,
church pastor.
He's gonna set you up with someone who says like, "Amen, sister."
Oh,
at the end of
back
our
to the
conversation.
square. Shout out if you guys have not watched that episode. It's Giving Square. I think that's what 5 or 6. If you guys want to go back and watch that one.
The thing is, I'm not talking from a place of assumption. I'm not talking from everyone else's experience. I am speaking from the driver's seat. Okay?
Queen does not have her license. Go ahead.
That is so crazy. Now, why would you go and do that? See,
I'm so sorry.
now I'm gonna drive both
Bro,
of us
my
off a
back
cliff.
ache.
Now what? Now we're both dead.
I'm so sorry.
As I was saying, as somebody who is constantly being spiritually shipped by pastors with a certain demographic of men, the seniors of sinners will organize a blind date for me and I will go. I will pick the sinner.
To be fair, I want to get into that a little bit later. So I hear
Yeah.
it.
Also,
I hear it.
also, and Summer, you can speak from your own experience.
Yeah.
These
Oh yeah, you
setups
can.
happen to be like
Oh yeah. I forgot
10,
about that.
15, 20 years older than.
Why are you calling me by my government name right now? Like,
See,
what is
because
happening?
I didn't want to go into detail. I didn't know if we're going into detail.
We'll
just
get there,
yet.
please, ladies. You're getting ahead of me. Please, please, please. Okay, trust me. We're going somewhere. Okay. Okay. So you're saying atheist best friend. You're saying atheist best friend. Okay, fair.
Atheist, agnostic, Buddhist.
I almost said something crazy. Okay. Second, would you rather? Would you rather be pursued for your character or for your looks? It has to be just one or the other. So let's say like they're like, oh, like Queen, she's such a woman of God. Like she's not my like type, but like her personality.
Okay, why'd you have to say that?
No. But then the other one, so Emery, where they're like, I don't think that she's there, like where I would want her to be, but like she's gorgeous. So like, which one would you prefer?
I feel like character can always be developed. My character has been developed since before I was born.
Okay, gloves exist too, though.
You don't say that when I was born.
No, we could try this character by fire.
Yeah, I feel like looks like it's temporary. Not temporary per se, but you gotta either put on makeup or get surgery or work out. Like if you don't just have it naturally.
Listen, not
it
even.
takes a
There
lot
are
to
some
get
angles
there.
where, yikes, I scare myself.
No, I'm really.
Listen, it's not like, it's one of those ones where it's like, you didn't even mean to scare yourself.
I mean, yeah, I've had the occasional jump scare.
But like,
Yeah.
it was one of those where it's like, hey, I looked fine in any other angle, but at this particular moment, from this particular angle, in this particular lens, in this particular lighting,
On this particular day.
jump scare.
So are you both saying personality then? Or would you both rather be pursued?
Okay,
Because
is it contingent on him always saying that? Like she's
No,
not
Yeah.
the type
Well, I
that-
always get the.
no. Because he's not saying right.
Okay,
He's
does
just-
he always have to give a disclaimer before showing a picture of me to his friends?
Oh my
No,
goodness.
because the thing is like, no, right? Like, and as you said, like, let's say he does pick you for your looks, right? As you said, looks fade, right? So when you get to
Yeah.
50, is he gonna start giving
No,
disclaimers?
I was gonna
right?
say character. Like I feel like
Yeah.
Amri and I were gonna
Yeah.
pick character, but once
Yeah.
you insert that sentence, that's
Yeah,
when.
no, it's not that he thinks you're hideous. You're just not his physical type.
Okay,
what does that
gross.
mean?
I don't know. Maybe
I'm
5'1" is
every
just too short.
woman.
I
It's
know,
all
man.
in
You
me.
can change your hair and you can
Change your clothes. I actually listened to that yesterday.
Oh my god.
Okay. For example, okay, I've even spoke to Queen about this. There's somebody that I know that he purposely like does not pursue women that are under like 5'6", 5'7". He wants basketball children, so he wants a taller wife, right? So I'm saying like me being 5'1", I wouldn't be his like typical.
It's the fact that. It's the fact that
I'm
me and
leaving.
Queen looked at each other.
Yeah, I know. I hate it here. Like,
Yo,
I have been inadvertently called out so many times in the last 8 minutes.
we're like 5 minutes in, guys. Let's get it together.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
See, we're laughing. The weekly questions. You're enjoying yourself. It's fine.
Laughing for the
Okay.
tears.
So we're saying if it was one or the other like personality, you'd rather them
Personality.
pursue you for your character.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I think I would agree as well. Okay. Would you rather struggle with physical attraction in a marriage or emotional connection?
Hey.
That's the same question.
Physical attraction or emotional connection? Which one would you rather have to try and like overcome and work through?
Overcome.
The silence. It's so loud in here.
Okay, you said marriage, right?
In marriage. So you've already married this person.
No, but how did we get there?
Yeah, I couldn't be emotional.
So, okay,
I
I'll
would
give you
have
the-
to be.
I'll give you the scenario, right? So maybe you guys get married, they get into, or they lose their job, they go into that slum of depression, they just start eating. Now they're just very large and like very sweaty all the time, and
We
you're
can
just like,
fix that.
right? Not that, and neither of these things are unfixable. I'm saying which one would you rather work through, right?
The
Where-
physical.
The physical.
Yeah, I feel like emotional is a little harder
Yeah.
Fair.
to fix.
Even yeah. I also feel like if you can't see a problem, it's a lot harder to fix it. And
Yeah.
wow, no,
Bars.
yikes,
No, but like.
yikes.
But also, I feel like if that in that scenario, like the physical aspect does not necessarily take a toll on you mentally, in the sense of like you're not always fighting because the person is fat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, it might be a little hard to look at you sometimes, but it's not keeping me up at night.
Yeah, I feel like you would still love that person.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm not
it's almost
really-
like if
Weight
you're-
doesn't really like.
Yeah, if your
I
partner
was
like
just giving
loses,
away, like if they were in a horrible
I get
accident,
what
their
you're
face
saying.
was
Yeah.
half melted, and this is them forever. Like you, and it's like hard for you to look at them, right? But like you, the emotion, like was that something it would be easier to work through?
I feel like you're giving Summer. I'm gonna need you to stop giving God ideas because on Wednesday you said one thing,
Why do we keep circling back to my life?
and then
I know.
15 minutes later you got into a literal car accident. So I'm gonna need you to stop. Thank you very much.
I agree. I think if I can be very real, you can be a 2.5. If you are funny, I will marry you. I'm just being. If you love Jesus and you can crack
Not even.
a good joke, we're getting
there are
married.
so many testimonies out there. Pete Davidson.
But I think he is.
I feel like I don't.
He's
think
just
ugly.
unconventionally attractive.
I don't think Pete Davidson's
I
ugly.
don't think so
I think
either.
he is attractive. You guys' family standards of beauty, I really don't understand.
Yeah, we ain't got no types.
Your
out
brother
here.
thinks, okay, Fitzgerald Grant from Scandal. Is he ugly? Because Love said he's ugly.
I'm not okay. I will. Okay, the first time I watched Scandal, I think I liked him because that's how the show was written.
Forget about his character. I know that he started to just whatever.
the
Summer.
nose.
Have you watched Scandal?
Yeah, but I don't know any
The
actor's
president.
name.
The president.
I don't
was
like
years
his
ago. I
nose.
can tell you. I can pull it up if you want me to.
His nose.
He looks very like presidential white man.
So like,
No,
hold on.
you can't say that.
We have Google, guys.
Because the white presidents we've had.
No, like Hollywood.
Oh,
President.
okay.
No, real life.
Yeah.
Real life politicians. Yikes.
No, he is attractive. So this is the thing. Sometimes I don't think I have a type because like this person, I'm like, this is also attractive. But then like this and like a dad, but like see how he has like a very strong jawline. Like I like soft features. You could be tall, you could be short. Like I think it's just something like about you. It's
The
not
aura?
necessarily
Exactly. It's
what
the
I'm looking at.
aura. It's the aura.
Yeah.
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 I think I feel like you could see. Oh, Love Is Blind. Is it Garrett? Where he was like
I'm just direct. Sorry.
when he was like in the show when he just looked like a nerdy scientist that liked to go fishing.
Oh, yeah, I see what you
And then
mean.
he comes back for the reunion, and I'm like,
His
ooh.
little Prince Charming
And
haircut.
I'm like, ooh. Garrett.
But even that's the thing though, like even in his nerdy self, I found him attractive.
But not. There was a different.
His character,
Or-
not so much.
Wow.
Like there was nothing about him that was just like, oh, I want to have a conversation with you. They
The
was
whole
talking
show
about
was
like
about talking.
geometry and stuff. What am I gonna do? Like, I'm not gonna start looking for the degree or the angle of a triangle with you.
Why not?
Cause I hate
How did
it.
you marry a software engineer?
We don't talk
I
about
was gonna say
computers all the
they're
time.
not talking about Office like.
Like your brother is a yapper. He's very entertaining over here.
Alrighty.
Okay, so agreed. Struggle with physical attraction,
Yeah.
then
Struggle.
emotional. No, and like I really like the way that you said it. Like it is. I do think it's harder to work through something you can't physically see. That's just like the human experience. So
Yeah.
that's a very good point. Okay, would you rather have amazing chemistry but argue about theology, or perfect theological alignment with zero banter?
Hey.
I need the banter. I need it. I need it. Ooh, I need it.
But I also feel like the more you know about theology, like the banter is elite when you know about theology.
So
too.
in my head, I'm like, how did the ladder come?
Just one of those
A
anomalies.
square.
Good banter, but you guys argue about the Bible, or you're in perfect alignment about the Bible, but you just don't have
Good
the same sense
banter,
of
I
humor.
beg. Please.
Priorities. I hear it though.
Sometimes I feel like we choose the path.
As long as you read the Bible at least. Because if you're arguing, it means there's an interest there. So, good banter, please.
Okay.
Next question. Thank you very much.
Would you rather fall in love during a missions trip or during a heated debate in Bible study?
Heated debate.
Lord.
As hot as possible.
So we're feeding orphans and I'm like, ooh, this is very
Yeah, like you're like,
romantic.
wow, he's such like he would be such a good dad, and like
I'm gonna be
obviously
honest.
he's
That's
into
a more.
travel.
That's a Mormon's like. Ooh.
Would just
Lord, have mercy upon us all.
Jesus.
so it's just a good Bible study argument.
Yeah, I just feel like, say, going back to the debate of theology, I feel like it
Really?
But I mean,
Yeah,
to put it
heated
into
debate.
but to put it into perspective for the previous one, like having good chemistry, but they're like, nah, like Joseph Smith, like he is, like that's a theology argument, but you have good banter.
I mean,
really just. No, why
we-
would you? No, we can't go
But
back
I'm
to that question.
We've already answered.
no, but I'm not married to them, so I can always move on.
That is true.
It is what
you
it
found a
is.
loophole. Next time I will include some fine print. Okay. So we're all saying heated Bible study debates. You'd rather? Yeah, I think I'd rather too. Right. And it just, I think when you start getting into those conversations with people, that's when you really can see how deep they are in something, like
Yeah.
where they're and
And
like
also, like, mission trips can be very performative.
true.
Also tired. Like, you're actually working.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so where I was leading to, and you guys were jumping ahead of me, all of this. So hopefully you guys have a little bit of perspective of where we are. We keep the pastor out of the package, but we need the theology and a little bit of banter to just put a bow on it. Okay. Has a man ever told you God told him you were supposed to be his wife? If so, can you share with the class? If you can. No pressure.
I fortunately never experienced that. Thank you, Jesus. And so I'll pass it off to Queen.
No, like no pastor has even said like, oh, the Lord is telling me you need to be married, like maybe that type of thing.
I mean, it's like
Someone-
she's in her early 20s.
No, someone has tried it. I shut it down. Listen, I've never picked up a bag and left so quickly.
Somebody's
Who is
calling
it?
me.
You know, we all know. Don't be surprised.
Oh.
Queen, the floor is yours.
I mean, I think I've shared one of the stories before. Well, two of them. But honestly, I'm embarrassed to say this has happened to me way too many times. And I don't know if it's also because my parents are pastors and just growing up in the African zeitgeist. But let me think of one that I haven't shared. Okay. I went through a breakup in 2021. But even before that breakup, mind you, this is somebody I've never met. To this day, I don't even know what his name is. I cannot remember, to be honest, because we spoke once and I was just like, yeah, nah. So throughout my relationship, my mom kept telling me like, oh, there's this guy that's interested in you. Well, there was two guys. One of them way older, literally in his 40s. The other one was older than me too. I don't know how much older, but when I spoke to him, he sounded very elevated in his years. And so she's like, yeah, this guy's been really... I'm like, you know I'm in a relationship. You know that. So why do you keep pushing this? Like, what do you want me to do? So we break up, and she starts campaigning even harder. And I'm just like, the last thing I want right now is to be in a relationship. This person, I don't know them. They're in the US. I've never met them. I don't know what they look like. I'm not interested in it. And so, with the African thing again, like, you have to be respectful. So the respectful thing to do was to at least just give him my phone number and have a conversation with him. And I really did not want to do that because I was just like, once you have your phone number, you're in bondage.
Yeah.
You are bound. And so she gives him my phone number. This was on the Christmas party after I came back from Cameroon. That day, that was when this happened. So I call him. I actually called him from your car because we went to Dolorama. No, he called me rather. I answered the phone call from your car because we went to Dolorama to get some stuff for the party.
Oh, we were decorating?
Yes.
Yikes.
So he's speaking, and the man does not let me talk once. And he's talking about God, and God told me this and that and whatever. I'm just like, yeah. Thank you, goodbye. Never spoke to him again.
Do I know this person?
No.
Okay.
I don't know this person.
Oh, no, because when you said you picked up when you guys, I'm like, maybe it's somebody.
He's not, I've never seen him. That was my first and last time ever speaking to him. And I'm just like, I think.
Your husband, Queen? He was supposed to marry you.
Why would you even say that, bro? Like this? I was like, what? But no, I think that's why I picked the sinner, because like every single time, every man who has come to me saying that God said we should get married was way older than me. Anytime they've tried to set me up with somebody that God said was way older than me. And I'm like, God he's a father of children. God loves little children. But I don't think it's this type of love that he's advocating for. And I'm like, why do you keep wanting to put me in situations where I will be way out of my depth and just are borderline predatory? Like, I don't understand
also, like,
that.
God doesn't send mixed signals, and, like, he wouldn't send 54 of you to say all at once that you're my husband and not clue me on it.
Well, that's the point that, like, Queen and I had talked about this a few weeks ago, where it's just like, we speak regularly, and he hasn't said anything to me, so...
No, nothing.
No, because you're pushing power on me. You have to have power. You have to have the spirit, but so you cannot trust that if I do have power and if I do have the spirit, I'm able to decipher what the Lord wants from me, for myself. It only has to come from you, and if it doesn't come from you, then it's a wrong decision.
Right. Yeah, I hear it, like, all of the same kind of circumstance. This has happened to me. I think the thing is, I had to be specific with your prayer points, right? Because I was like, Lord, I think I'm ready to get married, and he was just like, here's 4 versions of something very scary. So what are you really trying to get married to? I think that's what happened. You guys know all 4. I think the funniest one I think I can talk about was he doesn't come to our church anymore. You guys would know him for his fake Gucci jacket.
Wait.
He used to wear matching camo outfits with
He
somebody
came
else.
with a lady with a matching camo sweatsuit one time, and still was like, okay, sorry, if you catch along, you'll catch along. But yeah,
Okay.
basically a guy, he joined our church for maybe 2 months. He came with a woman who I thought was his partner, and then slowly she stopped coming. And then I was part of a committee that was like health and wellness, anybody who needs help. He connected with the group. Messaged me directly saying, I need help finding a wife, but I don't want an African woman. Any woman but African. And I was just like, sir, this is not something that my group deals with, right?
But before that, wasn't there like an announcement that was put out in the group, like listing out what you guys help out with or something like that?
Bishop had at least said it on the altar. I don't remember like the timeline of what was said.
Was it like
The hospitality?
yeah,
something
if you
like
just
that.
need help with like
like so like housing or
food,
groceries or something like childcare, like maybe
He was
we
like,
can,
oh,
yeah.
I need something.
I need
Yeah,
all
so
of those things
I
in a
need
wife.
I need a girl to be my wife. She has to be white.
Yeah. Well, no, he was like very specific. I'll even take Jamaican. I just don't want African. You know, like it was a whole thing. And obviously, the nature of the conversation, he was building to a place of like, you.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
It
Yeah.
was a very strategic move. You have to give him that.
We got Jamaicans in the church you could have messaged.
So the thing is, for all of you people, Queen and Emery know me very well. I'm not very confrontational, and I won't be rude to your face. I will just like try and like walk you to the correct answer in this situation. So I think I gave him about 3 different messages, like 3 different times where he would just message me like, hello, like Minister Summer, like I hope your day is going well, this and that. And like I would reply with, I've escalated your request to the other group members, and I'll let you know if I have a response for you, right? And then like the third time he did it, I was like, oh, the group members felt that this is something that they couldn't handle, so I'm actually going to be taking your request to Bishop, just so that you can hear the words in between the words that I'm saying. Now, this is the kicker.
Wait, this actually, like,
Yes,
you escalated it to the
Bro,
group?
Now, listen to this. I went straight to Bishop, right? Because I didn't want the group members that I was with to be offended by the nature of the conversation. I was just trying to do warning shots, right? So I did actually go to Bishop. I went to your dad. When I went to your dad and I was like, this person, as soon as I said his name, he was like, oh, like, stay away from him. He's trouble. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like, I'm aware. He's like, yeah, when he started, he was trying to marry Queen. Like, that was the first conversation. So I wasn't even, I told you this, that he went to Bishop and he asked about you. You don't remember this?
No.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm African. Doesn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm like, first of all, I wasn't even first choice. Like, So
Lord help us.
I've had pastors try to set me up with people living in other countries. I've had that same pastor that tried to start the conversation with you approach me. That man is like twice my age, right? And I had to be like,
Duh.
You are older than my parents, sir. Which is a conversation I had to have with him. And it's just, I don't understand that. Not that I'm saying like what like the church leader did, trying to organize like somebody in a different country. Like, I don't want to look at that as like predatory, but I do feel like there's a predatory nature in, I'm going to say 90% of these encounters, at least in my experience or in the experiences I've overheard, right?
Yeah.
I guess, like, question would be, what, because I don't want to discount that, like, I don't want to call it matchmaking in the church. Of course, like, you want to marry someone that's on the same page with you, the most logical sense is to do so in a common...
Like finding an area of interest.
Yes.
Yeah. Common ground.
Now, how would, I guess, like, a pastor or even, like, let's say, like, a friend facilitate some type of relationship without it being predatory?
Like, that is a good question, right? So, one, I think we just live in 2025 where no one has friends to recommend to their friends, to be very honest. There's very little, like, socializing happening. If you're socializing with girls because men are scary, right? Like, that's just what it is. So for pastors, unless your pastor, like, as much as I think that I'm close with our bishop, like, I don't think that he actually knows, like, me as a person, right? He knows, like, Summer the Christian, but, like, I just throw, like, a random death joke in the chat, and it's funny, right? Like, it actually, to me, is hilarious, and that's something that I don't even know if he knows I'm, like, capable of, but that's a whole part of my personality, right? So for the pastor to be able to do that, it's, like, you have to know the true nature of this person to do that accurately. And then with friends, like when you guys were saying you would pick your atheist friend over your pastor, I know my atheist friends would pick incorrectly for me. Like, I know that because as much as my pastor doesn't know that side of me, they also are completely unfamiliar with the depth of like my Christian walk, right? So to answer your question, it's like the only way that you're going about that the correct way is like it's only by somebody who knows you like inside and out. And I think that's just like a rarity now, you know, and also has a social life with other people that match you to be able to coordinate, you know? Like, I think it's almost impossible. Anything's possible with God, but in my perspective, it's impossible.
Yeah, I think the facilitating in itself is not an issue. I think the main issue with matchmaking in the church is that it's almost never a match for the woman. They're always trying to, like, impose their idea of what is good on you. I mean, and I know some, like, men also have had encounters with that, but overwhelmingly it's the woman has to accept whatever is being presented to her because she has to get married before she starts getting stretch marks. And it's like something has to give, and that's why it starts to become predatory, because obviously we know, like, the life cycle of a man. He will live his life however he wants, and then all of a sudden he's in his 40s, his 50s, he's not married. And then since women now have stretch marks, and that's a problem, the older women are not viable anymore. So they have to find a young girl who's gullible, and they'll be like, oh, God said. And it's like, did he really?
I also feel like, just like piggybacking off like the focus on the women, I feel like there's a lot of like emphasis and time spent on like vetting the woman, not as much as the man, where it's like, you're now making sure, like, you're like, oh, like, this is, like, you know, a beautiful daughter of God who, you know, loves the Lord with all her heart, serves him. And, like, here's the son. And, yeah, he comes to church on Sundays, so good enough. Y'all should be together. And, like, sometimes I feel like you're setting up the woman to be in a situation where the person who's now supposed to, like,
Supposed to be the leader
is...
falls
like,
short.
Yeah, and, like, now that you're saying it, I've heard so many, like, you know, women conferences or, like, Mother's Day this and that, where it's, like, always about, you know, like, our purity and, like, our standard and our hearts for God and all this stuff. And, like, if you are 47 looking at 25-year-old women, like, first of all, why are you 47 and single? Like, can we have a conference and, like, maybe talk about that? Because day in and day out, I'm told to be a perfect version of human. And we are just, like, letting men be toddlers for their entire lives and throw tantrums when nobody wants them. Like, it's... Maybe that's a conversation we need to start having.
Tell me how you really feel.
Honestly, maybe I'm coming off a little bit harsh.
Just to your point, like, to both of your points about, like, a lot of that responsibility and the onus being placed on the woman, we hear about the Proverbs 31 woman. I want a Proverbs 31 wife. I'm like, okay, have men found or even at least looked for the biblical equivalent of the Proverbs 31 wife? Because it's always like, yeah, I need my wife to have all these attributes, but I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, at least you read your Bible. Maybe that's even the only chapter you know in the Bible. But have you read all of Proverbs? Have you seen the countless verbs where Solomon is like, son, listen to the advice of your father, gain wisdom, gain understanding? Like, what are you doing with all of that other information? Are you also building yourself up so that you can be a perfect husband for the Proverbs 31 wife that you're looking for? Like, why is all of the onus always being placed on the woman?
Yeah, I feel like even like I think we're talking to the kids about like Jacob and Rebecca, right? And I'm like, the fact that someone was willing to literally get finessed, right? Get finessed,
you play me, okay, she's worth it.
Yeah, put in 7 years hard work, got finessed, and like could have been like, oh well, Rachel's now 7 years older, not as good as whatever. But like, nah, saw something that was like, I love this person, I'm willing to work for them and also work for that relationship. And like probably went through enough like trials and tribulations where like he became a worthy enough husband for the roles that he was gonna like step into. And so I'm like, if you spend all this time you're preparing the wife and you're letting the husband just walk into the relationship, and now it's like, okay, now I have to what? Now raise this boy to now be a man, to now husband me as his wife.
Yeah, and it baffles me, like, when I see parents encourage that, like, where they're pushing their daughter to get, like, parents who have confidence that their daughter is a well-rounded woman, and they're pushing her into marriage with a man that is clearly subpar. And I'm like, don't you think that's a waste of resources?
You don't know how many times that like I've seen like people be like, oh, you should marry this person, you should marry this person. I'm like, you don't love this girl. No offense. Like what you just said shows me that you don't like this girl because you're setting her up for a life of absolute misery. This person will not treat her well.
Yeah, no, and it does beg the question, like, where is this perspective coming from? Like, what is motivating you to say, like, I'm looking at my own flesh and blood and willing to hand her to this type of person, right? So when we're talking about Proverbs 31, I was looking up the list, right? So Paul also talks about the requirements for certain levels of men in the church and what they need to have if they can step into that role, right? It's in 1 Timothy 3. So just...
I was literally about to say Timothy because I shared that with somebody who came up to me and they wanted me to like mentor them to be like a minister, like a singer. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm at the place to mentor you, but something that I've been living by is like that verse in 1 Timothy, like the requirements of a minister. So I love that verse.
Yeah. So an overseer, like a bishop or an elder, they have to be above reproach. So a husband to one wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money, manages his family well, sees that his children obey him, not a recent convert, and has a good reputation with outsiders, right? So those are just to be a leader. Now just to be a deacon. So even if you want to be underneath that, right? Worthy of respect, sincere, not indulging, not pursuing dishonest gain, keeps hold of deep truths and faith with clear conscience, must be tested, faithful to his wife, manages his children. Like Titus, he talks about being blameless, faithful, like all of these things, right? And part of the conversations I was having this week is they're like, oh, there's no like quality women, like women just want a man to pay for everything, right? I'm like, I don't think you guys understand the conversations that women are having with men day in and day out. And like one of the things I highlighted is, in my personal opinion, I think that men respect the opinions of other men. If you're in public and there's 50 dudes in this gym, you're not behaving because you want to behave. You just don't want any of these guys to think you're a weirdo. But if it was just me and you on a dark street, I don't know what you're going to say to me. I
But
don't know what
even
you're gonna
without
try.
that, like, you could tell a man something and he will just be like, whatever. And then a guy will tell him the exact same thing. He's like, bro, like, I was with my guy the other day and he told me this. I'm like, I
Yeah.
literally told you that 2 days ago.
Yeah. And so I was talking about how, like, I very much want, like, the traditional marriage, right? Like, I want my husband to be the leader of my home, the pastor of my home. And we had touched on this previously. You had made a point that I love, that as a leader in the home, it's not just about finances or provision, but you have to lead like a emotionally safe space. Like, you have to be the one who's able to cater those sides of the relationship too, if you're a leader. And so, you know, I say all of these things to the men that want to be in a relationship, and I'm like, these are the things, like, this is the type of wife or mom I want to be, this is the husband I'm looking for. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, and I'm not trying to sleep with you until we're married. And they're like, hold up, right? And it's okay, so what type of women do you want? Not that I'm judging or anything like that, but it's, you're saying women only want one thing, but you also clearly will disqualify all of the things that a woman should be based on one thing, right? That's not fair. Am I being too...
No, like, that's a nice, you put it in the nicest way possible. Way nicer than I would have put it. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, all of this kind of spun out with, I know, Queenie, you were talking about a video you saw earlier in the week about, like, a husband that was just, for lack of better words, dogging. I wasn't even gonna say dogging, but dogging on his wife. And it's like, is this the way? Is there something? I think there's something to glean from the conversation, but I don't think that it's correct. You know, like, you can always learn from everything. You can learn from mistakes. You can learn from this and that. But to be pushing that, okay, can you share with them a little bit about it?
So for those who don't know, I couldn't watch the full interview. I just couldn't stomach it. But the gist of it was this couple, they're both pastors, man and woman, and she's detailing all of the many extramarital adventures that
it was an adventure
that her husband would go on. And she was like, she would iron his shirts for him to go visit his side chicks. This was not a polygamous relationship. This was very monogamous.
He didn't like her.
Well, at least on her part, it was meant to be monogamous.
Very monogamous.
Do you know what I think is so interesting? Do you know how they got together?
Wasn't he in high school?
No, I think one of their parents set them up.
What?
And was like, they should go date.
circle.
And then he was dating someone else, and like, the wife said that she saw like the girl that he was dating before.
Yeah,
and
she
was
wasn't
like,
pretty
well,
or
like,
something.
if she could get him, I could get him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that just
I'm like,
means
you just insulted both of you.
yourselves. Yes. And then he continued to disrespect you for decades and decades and decades.
And even till this day.
To this day.
Yeah, so yeah, she would iron his shirt so he could go be with his side chick. And the thing is, like, apparently before she referred to this as a revelation from the Lord, like the Lord gave her the grace to be patient, right? But apparently she used to crash out before. And she would crash out by putting his toothbrush in the toilet and bleaching his shirts and ruining his clothes and stuff like that. And this man said with his chest on national internet that the blessing in that was that she was never home whenever he came home and found his stuff in that condition, because she would have been dead.
Domestic violence.
And then everybody laughed. She, the husband, and the podcast host cackling like a bunch of hyenas. And I'm just like, Jesus. So anyway, that video, what I learned, because there's something to learn, what I learned from that video is that my opinion is right. Because that is the very reason I did not take any single piece of advice that was given to me before my marriage or before my wedding into my marriage.
I think you said that like it was
Not
an
one.
unpopular opinion, and I was like,
And no,
unpopular.
I said no. I'm being serious. Like, that's what I learned, because I actually was doubting myself. Like, I was questioning myself. I was like, is this being disrespectful? Like, maybe these people have lived longer than me. They're higher ranking in spiritual authority and whatnot. Like, maybe, and I was like, everything that is being said here is terrifying me. And I was like, yeah, I'm not taking that into my marriage.
It essentially says, like, I feel like most of the advice comes down to forget being happy and enjoying your marriage and liking your partner.
Respected as a human.
Right?
Never say no to your husband. Right? Do not deny your body from you. And I'm like,
just say I do and move on. Okay? That's the lesson. Just say I do, open your legs, have kids, and mind your business.
And like,
happiness is not one of those.
I mean, I know we're not joking because we're saying very profound things. But as somebody who has been molested as a child, as an adult, by men in the church, I'm like, how can you sit there and tell me that once I get married, I cannot tell my husband no? Okay, this is a PG-13 podcast, I hope. But do you know what it takes for a woman to get there? Like, it's a mental thing first. Your body literally needs that to lubricate properly and to get you to do the things that you need to do. So as somebody who has been forced to do those things, who has had to repair her relationship with that side of herself, and being told, like, I cannot deny my husband my body, if whether I'm physically ill or I'm mentally ill or emotionally downcast.
I'm as you're saying this too, because the people that are telling you this with full chest. Is this the conversations that these 50-plus-year-old men are having behind closed doors to say, if I can only fool her to say yes, like she can't say no after that? Like, is that what's motivating this? Because I genuinely don't understand it sometimes. I really, really don't.
Mind you, this conversation was being had the night before my wedding.
Yeah.
The night before. I'm going to say it right now. Love in that moment, not love my husband, like love the feeling was not enough to get me down the aisle. It took the grace of God to get me down the aisle. Because I sat there and like after that conversation, I pulled one of the people that were like very close to me and I asked them, I'm like, you raised me, you know me, you love me. There was not a single thing that you said there that catered to me. And I asked them, like, do you think that this same conversation is being had with the person I'm about to marry? Do you think his parents are telling him, like, you're going to lose yourself, you're not going to be happy, you're going to do this, you're going to have to do that, do you think that's what they're telling him?
Never deny your wife your body. If she says yes, you're not allowed to say no. Imagine.
And their response was like, as a woman, it's just how it is. You're going to have to
Where in
bear
the Bible
burden.
It says that, like, because you're a woman, sucks to suck. Like, I know that, like, we got a little bit of a curse. Childbirth is not going to be, like, whatever, but, like...
The crazy part is we're saying all of this, but, like, I'm pretty sure it was women that were telling you those things as well, was it not? Or, like,
it was a mix of people, yeah. But this person I was speaking to,
it makes me sad
because
I feel like, even, like, looking at that, like, it makes me more, almost have pity, because I'm like, it really sucks that this is how you've seen, like, your world and your relationship to it for so long that you think that, like, in my head, I'm like, them passing on that information, I genuinely have to believe that they're, like, trying to watch out for you, like, oh, queen, like, might have, like, lip gloss on your chin, like, trying to have your back, but you don't, actually. I'm sorry.
I'm like,
I looked too, because I was like, wait, what?
No, but, like, they're trying to tell you that almost like a heads up, like, I got your back, but I'm like, the fact that you've been so conditioned to believe that this is how love shows up for each other is terrifying.
The silver lining is that, like, it made me all the more grateful that I cultivated a relationship with God for myself. Like, and that's it. Like, guys, I'm telling you, man, know God for yourself. This podcast is not enough. We might be saying a lot of wrong things here. Your pastor might be saying a lot of wrong things, but the moment that you have the assurance that you walk with the Lord day by day, that you stay in the Word, there is nothing that a man could tell you that could lead you astray because you get the information directly from the source. I'm not saying that, like, I don't submit to authority because I know the Lord. Like, no. Knowing the Lord makes it easy for me to submit to authority. It also makes it easy for me to discern when that authority is leading me astray.
Yeah.
Amen. And so when I say that I did not take any of the advice my elders gave me into my marriage, it's not from a place of arrogance. It's from a place of discerning that this advice is not biblical. This advice is not a reflection of God's love for me. It's not a reflection of God's vision for the constitution or the concept of marriage, but I know what is, and this I can pick it apart and take what is valuable and leave what is not valuable. And in that moment, none of it was valuable to me or my marriage, or even my husband, to be honest.
I think that was actually really well said. I think I think we should probably wrap it up on that point. I think cultivating, and I think we say it almost like once at least every episode, that the importance of cultivating a relationship with God before you're entering any other type of relationship, whether it's a leadership role, working with kids, whether it's a friendship, whether any of those things. I think putting God first is the way to go. If you have any closing remarks, if you were to say something to somebody who is married, whether it's the husband or the wife, do you have advice outside of read your Bible, know your God? Is there something that you think would be valuable for a couple to hear that may be struggling with one of the would you rathers, right? So like emotional connection, physical attraction, feeling validated, feeling present, banter, if that's what it is. Do you have any advice, husband or wife?
I feel like listen to understand, and like also understand that like your partner isn't the problem. I feel like oftentimes like banter is fun and having those debates are fun, but sometimes they get messy, and I feel like that comes when it becomes an argument, like when your partner's saying, hey, like I need you to show up for me in this area, and rather than hearing them like just communicate what they need from you, you're taking it almost as like, oh, you're attacking me, like you're passing blame on me, and like kind of just being like, I am not a problem when someone is communicating what they're feeling, and when you're listening, don't just listen to
Respond.
to hear the words that are coming out of their mouth, but also to like understand your partner and where they're coming from.
No,
Yeah,
that's
that's good.
Yeah, that's really good. Queen,
Yeah.
husband or wife, anything to say?
Make good friends and keep your friends in your marriage. And I say that because as like I've had very questionable relationships with both men and women. And so it made it in such a way that whoever I was romantically involved with, they were my all. And the breakup I was referring to in 2021 really showed me that, you know, I needed community of my own. Like, this person cannot be the only source of my joy and my peace and all of that. And so once I cultivated community, it made it, and I'm not saying like I was also just relying on my friends. Like, I also had to just be happy on my own, and that's something that I cultivated during that time period. But once I also added to that community, even if I was in a fight or a disagreement with my partner, my life wasn't over. It didn't feel like my life was over. And on top of that, I could go to my friends and be like, hey, not to like shame, but like genuinely, this is what's happening. Like, what do you think? Like, am I in the wrong? How could I be better? And I've had those conversations with you multiple times where like you've called me out like, hey, I think you're viewing this through a bias lens or prejudice lens, and like you should do this and you should do that. And it has tremendously helped my marriage. It's helped my relationship, and it's done amazing things for my mental health as well. And so when it's giving me confidence in myself as well. So when I'm able to say like I did not take any advice into my marriage, is because I have compasses all around me. Like I have the people that can tell me like this is the way. I have a God who can tell me this is the way. I have my God that can tell me this is the way. And so keep your friends. And I say this especially for men because I feel like men don't really, well, an overwhelming amount of men don't have community. They don't know how to cultivate community. And that's why they have a lot of blind spots. Because, and when I say community, it's not just, you may have guy friends, but you don't have a community.
Yeah.
And so your guy friends, if they're yes men, you don't have a community. Having a community is not just people that are just going to go with whatever you do, whether you're cheating on your partner and you're like, oh, I'm going to keep my mouth closed because that's my boy. That's not community. That's enablement. Yeah. And enablement will lead you straight to hell. But have people who will tell you the truth, who will not try to sabotage you, who will not try to sabotage your relationship, and who will always lead you back to God.
Yeah, even yesterday's verse from Proverbs 17, it was like, brothers are born for adversity. And I was just like, whoa. Yeah. Like, having someone who's, like, going to be there for you to go through, like, not only the good things, but, like...
the bad.
Yeah.
Love that. I think I want to say something, like, in the middle, right? So definitely listening to understand and having good communities will help you set accurate boundaries. I think that this is something that God has been working on me probably over the last year, is because that's not I don't really have an issue of getting like offended, right? When somebody says something, I'm not immediately like guns blazing, but when somebody is saying something that is crossing a boundary, I've had to learn what is appropriate and like what is fair to say, and like kind of like self-value and finding that value in God. And like So listening to understand helps that. Like, what is this person really trying to get from you or get across to you? And then having like a community and a friend base that will help you validate in those places where maybe you're setting this boundary from a place of trauma and you need to kind of work on that, or maybe you're allowing this person to take too much from you from a place of trauma or from a misunderstanding of self-worth. So anyone, I mean, a lot of people are already married and you're struggling with those things of trying to assert and find your place of happiness. And I think just being mindful of the boundaries that God has already said you're allowed to have, right? Like he's called you his. We've learned about yesterday, we learned like you're God's friend, you're his co-heir, you sit with him, like you're above certain things that we kind of allow ourselves to get bogged down by. So actively using both of these things, I think can like only strengthen and heal some of the places that we just willingly ignore, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Well, this kind of felt like a rant session a little bit, but I really needed it, so appreciate you guys. With that, let's call it a day. Everyone who made it this far, love you to pieces. I assume you're already subscribed because you love us. What's not to love, right? So the only other thing left is to share it with your group chat, family group chat, church group chat, whoever needs to see it, whoever needs to hear it.
And stand 10 toes down.
The man that told you God told him that you need to marry him, send this one to him just so that he knows
Tell him I told you God didn't tell him.
And tell us in the comments who you want to be set up with.
Ooh, little matchmaking. Just add the person, you know? It's a little icebreaker right
Shoot your
there.
shot in the comments.
And don't forget.
That's a bit crazy.
Be bold. Have courage.
All right. Don't forget to try your best. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Don't you worry now. Just hold your head high. Don't you worry now. Just hold your head high. Don't turn around. The prize is not behind you.